After his mother was killed by a family of snakes, Yun was kicked out and disappeared into the dark with no money at all. 12 years later, he buys a spooky old house for pennies and accidentally wakes up a powerful broken system. While ordinary people work themselves to the bone for decades, he spends his special points to instantly save a girl with an S-rank physique. He takes her in as his very first apprentice. After only 4 weeks of basic training, his rookie crushes the arrogant elite of a top sect, leaving the stunned crowd in awe. As we step into the chaos of a family torn apart by tragedy, our young hero screams for his mother while a frantic maid holds him back, only to be met with cold silence from a father who shows no remorse. The old man with a heart of ice yelled at the crowd to stop the noise and clear the room right now. Broken and furious, Yun begs for justice, but his old master coldly shuts him down, forbidding anyone from seeking revenge or speaking out about the murder. Yun's mind goes blank as he demands answers, but his dad insists it's all for a greater cause while banning justice, which is the final break that makes Yun stare down the man who raised him, call him a monster for ignoring his wife's blood, and declare he's leaving forever as he storms into the night, cutting every tie to his toxic family. Knowing he is weak right now, he vows to gain power so great it will make the whole world shake. He wants to build his own group, gather a loyal army, and spread his shadow across the land until he has crushed everyone who hurt his mother, even the ones who stayed quiet. Even though tears cloud his eyes, his determination remains strong, and he is ready to wait an entire lifetime for his revenge. 12 years later, by a crackling fire, a trembling goon begs for his life, offering anything for a deal while Yun stands tall like a reaper, ready to claim the one thing he wants. The tough guy jumps right up with a grin. Yun wears a hungry grin and demands the man's soul. The deal is over and so is the man, as the thug screams it's a joke, only for Yun to whisper that he'll take what isn't given, causing the desperate man to hurl threats that vanish the moment Yun becomes a ghost and teleports behind him. Yun sees the man's breath smells as bad as his skills do, so he punches him straight into the mud. Still acting crazy, the thug lunges forward shouting that he'll bring Yun's head to the murim leaders, but Yun doesn't even blink as he erases the guy in a single smooth move. He flings his blade at his annoyed assistant, a girl who is secretly impressed but rolling her eyes at his acting, and she quickly reminds him that the council wants that specific scroll right now. Yun stands soaked in his enemy's blood and grins, thanking her for staying by his side. She looks at him like he's a walking crime scene and begs him to wipe the splatter off his face, but he just shrugs it off like it's a fun little workout. He checks the scroll, lets fresh blood from the corpse drip onto the page, and then signs it. Looking at the report, he wonders if this marks the end of an era, then tosses the paper back to her with orders to send it to the Murim Alliance before announcing his official retirement. She asks if he's going home, and as Yun finally wipes his face to show he's done, she wants to come by later, so he laughs and tells her to just drop by whenever she gets bored and send him an invite, and now that they are floating down a quiet river, Yun thinks about the road he has traveled. 10 years have gone by since he ran away from those snakes. After 12 long years climbing the ranks and perfecting his skills, he is finally ready to lead his own empire. He finally has enough money to buy the dream estate, which is now up for sale. Everything is going perfectly, so he lets out a dark chuckle, praises the gods, and then bursts into a wild, maniacal laugh. The shivering ferryman looks on in terror, convinced he's driving a crazy man across the river. Our hero stops himself, offers a sheepish apology, and finally signs for the sect estate, making his lifelong dream a reality. The boatman knows he's ferrying a young leader, but a scary thought strikes him since there's only one house for sale, so he nervously asks if it's the haunted mansion. Our clueless MC totally ignores the warning, while the ferryman paddles away fast, wishing him luck as if his life depends on it. Yun thanks him with a hype, but once he steps onto the estate, his hope turns to instant regret as he finds a collapsing mountain of trash. The salesman tries to sell the ruin as spacious while the protagonist refuses to believe a word. He lunges at the shady agent, shouting that the deal is a scam, while the vendor turns pale, swearing he spent endless hours hunting for this treasure and begging for a second chance. Our hero watches the rot as the salesman turns to guide them through the huge place, boasting of its 45 rooms and 5 training grounds. Yun was stunned, wondering who originally owned this place, while the vendor played dumb, claiming its history was too old to remember and insisting a little fix would work, only for the MC to agree but demand the truth, which the salesman revealed with a shock. Every single previous buyer had died on the first night. Everyone survived the heart attack without a scratch, but now the place is thought to be cursed because no guard or priest could ever clean it, and our boy just stares with dead eyes. He asks if the salesman is really trying to sell him a death trap. The sweating agent whispers that it's only 5 silver certificates with a huge 90% discount. The man weighs the risk of dying suddenly against the amazing bargain, and then he bursts into laughter, telling the agent he should have said the price first. Relieved, the salesman hands over the deed and treats our hero like a legendary ghost catcher, but the instant the document is taken, a system window suddenly appears to confirm the transfer. Yun shivers with cold but waves off the salesman's worry, desperate to leave alive and telling the tired vendor to come find him tomorrow if he's still around. Our boy takes on the challenge, and the salesman runs off right away. Finally, all by himself, the hero snaps and throws a wild party to celebrate his victory. He roars with joy as he imagines future students, even while he fights a fierce battle against mountains of ancient dust to clean up this absolute disaster. Finally, only the main hall stands left, and he kicks the doors wide open, ready to finish it all. But then he freezes in his tracks as a mysterious, ancient sword sits dead center in the room. He hopes the last owner forgot their bag so he can sell this lucky find for money. Just as he pulls the blade, the room shifts into a glowing grid of light, a window pops up to scan his soul, crowns him the greatest examiner ever known, but before he can cheer, a deadly attack shoots straight at him. He sidesteps the attack while the system cruelly turns up the challenge. Yun finally pieces it all together. This holographic death room killed the last buyers, but the hero smirks as he realizes the deadly shot from the shadows missed him, and even though the system has just turned the difficulty to the highest level, he is ready for anything, especially now that the Hall of Martial Power is about to test him despite his broken sword. He stops and sees that the attacks can't touch him right now. He needs a plan because his weapon is broken, so he pulls out a mysterious sword, knowing the room's strange limit is just guarding something huge on the other side. He steps closer to the source, but dozens of hidden guns snap into place and lock onto him instantly. Stunned for a heartbeat, he is suddenly swallowed by a storm of fire, desperately dodging and blocking the deadly hail until a bullet scrapes his shoulder and his broken sword turns to dust, forcing him to step up and change his fight. He triggers the flowing moon step in his illusory palm, charging headlong at the mechanical muzzles, only to be thrown backward by a sudden blast of force right as he gets close. The world snaps back into place, and the metal balls stand there, frozen and strangely quiet. Confused, he stared at the strange new blade in his hand just as a system message appeared, telling him the trial was finally over. He wonders at the quiet surprise of a whole place suddenly sparkling clean, looking brand new, as the system confirms his win and starts unlocking every hidden feature until everything is at the very top. He looks at the mysterious sword glowing with a strange blue light, wondering if he can keep it, but after that close call, he decides the room owes him a top-tier weapon. The system halts his evaluation and insists on knowing the estate's name to finish the trial. He speaks with great pride that this name was picked a long time ago. He plans to name his brand new home Anti-Insect. As the digital screens finish recording Yun's official title, she pulls her gaze back to the real world, ready to face the hard truths that must now be answered. He shouts for the phantom hiding in the dark to show itself immediately, but no ghost steps forward. Instead, the system chirps happily to let everyone know the long-awaited sect system is finally live. Our guy stares into the empty air, completely losing his mind as he wonders what kind of crazy mess he stumbled into, then grabs the shady vendor by the collar and growls, demanding to know if the man actually thought he'd survive the night or if there was supposed to be a warning about this glowing mystery before he rants about the weird floating box that's been stalking him since yesterday, only for the system to chime in smugly that only the owner can see it, leaving the confused vendor to wonder if our hero took a nasty hit to the head while the nervous salesman nervously offers a refund for the hallucinations before our boy shuts him down immediately. He's holding on to the place because he still needs that property. Turning back to the deal, the vendor says there's a huge mountain of prep work ahead, and for the grand opening, he must get 20 top-quality uniforms, even though local tailors are hard to find and getting their attention will be an absolute nightmare. It's like a fierce war where every merchant is racing to catch the legendary Golden Dragon Trade Company's contract. This huge giant feeds his family and commands fear across both the strict and wild fighting worlds, but the seller quickly ruins the mood by admitting those fancy Golden Dragon fabrics are far too expensive for him. Even worse, the salesman awkwardly admits that local shops won't even talk to him while rumors of his haunted estate spread like wildfire, but the system takes personal offense at being called a ghost, so our hero snaps at the floating window to shut up. Then a realization hits him like a freight train as it suddenly clicks that he only signed the deed yesterday, meaning these rumors are spreading at an impossibly suspicious speed, which makes the vendor start sweating buckets and offer a shaky, awkward laugh about how fast news travels in this town, so resting his hand on his blade, he glares daggers at the salesman, accusing him of leaking the gossip himself. The shaking man spins the chaos, claiming the MC survival proves it safe, but our hero is fed up and rants about being trapped in a PR disaster. Then we see him begging for clothes at the market only to get shut down everywhere. Every shop owner screams at him to go away, terrified that his haunted presence will bring bad luck and curse their businesses. He holds his composure so he doesn't seem crazy right away, but his encouragement is stopped dead by a sudden violent uproar nearby. A scared kid screams at a group of proud warriors, yelling that they stole his sister's medicine money and didn't even try to help. An old man steps in to scold the thugs in white robes for bullying a child, but they laugh him off before kicking the kid down. Their boss then orders them to silence everyone and hide their tricks from the elders, only to draw their swords when suddenly, our hero crashes the party and unleashes a wild kick that sends the nearest bully straight to dreamland. The rest bark out, demanding to know who's messing with their hustle. He calmly says his name is Yun, the master of the Eddy insect, while the thugs boast that the White Sword sect will wipe him out. But Yun dodges their slow swings, snaps an arm with a lightning-fast counter, and then punches another goon hard in the face for thinking they're tough. Only the ponytail boss is left, his ego crumbling as he realizes he's facing the legendary former captain of the Murim Alliance, while the shady merchant nearby takes a frantic drink, spits it out in shock, and points a trembling finger at the gang leader. Yun screams in frustration because his messy reputation is keeping him from scoring new drops. He challenges the punk to test him. The fool throws himself forward, but Yun slips away so smoothly that his blow hits nothing but empty air. He smashed the whole squad into the concrete and then waved a friendly invitation to the Eddy insect. If you're looking for a real thrashing, you're more than welcome to take it. Otherwise, keep your head down unless they're ready for a permanent hospital stay. As the cowards run away screaming fake threats, the elder thanks them for clearing the clutter. Noticing the beast needs new gear, the kid suggests his sister's legendary sewing skills, even though she is cursed by a strange spell. Desperate, the boy begs Yun to save his life, but before she can refuse, a holographic alert pops up with a high-level job he can't ignore, so he immediately grills the kid for all the details. Soon they are walking to the family shack, where the orphan tells how his sister's needlework saved them after their parents died, but now a freezing cold has turned her limbs to ice while the old merchant explains he runs a nearby shop and came because their messages suddenly stopped. They stumble toward a crumbling hut that looks like it might fall down any second now. Inside, it feels like a living nightmare. As Yun stares in shock at her sister shoving bare hands into a roaring fire just to stay warm, the system flashes a warning. The burning outside and the freezing inside have locked into a deadly, unbreakable standoff. They cancel each other out perfectly, signaling a deadly surge of cold energy that freezes her skin solid the moment she steps away from the heat, so Yun ignores the system's frantic alarms to confirm his scary guess and tell her the hard truth. She was born with a legendary but cursed body that eats up cold like the famous Empress sword, which is a god-tier power for fighters but a death sentence for her since she lacks the warm energy needed to survive it. Suddenly, a new mission flashes on the screen. She has only 3 months left, and to keep him safe, she must recruit her first student and earn 50 essence points. And with that, you've unlocked a healing power that costs exactly 50 essence. Yun grins at the perfect timing and stares right into the dying girl's eyes. He throws her a lifeline, either join Eddy the insect as his first disciple or face the end. She stands frozen, convinced that martial artists are nothing but selfish snakes who only bring pain. She blames him for her parents' fate and is sure he'll leave her the moment she becomes useless. Then she sees it, Yun hasn't let go, and his hand is turning a deep, bruised purple from the cold. She is freezing cold, but he just stands there without even shivering. He wipes the frostbite off as if it were just a tiny scratch. Touched by his kind heart, she boldly trusts him and accepts his offer, instantly finishing the quest. A blue light erupts between them, shattering the girl's freezing illness and restoring her warmth as the boy cheers and the old man stares in shock, wondering if he just witnessed a legendary cure while Yun simply shrugs it off. With laughter booming, the elder admits he's blown away and finally sees why the Murim leader respects this kid, leaving our hero frozen in disbelief over how a silk merchant could know the martial arts master's true power, until the old man flashes a bright smile, apologizes for hiding it, and reveals he is the legendary boss of the Golden Dragon Trade Company, while at the White Sword sect, 3 beaten thugs shake with fear before their leader. Lord Sir Yong glares down with pure disgust, mocking them for getting humbled by some unknown startup. The thugs cower as if their lives depend on it, while Sir Yong steps forward to mock Wan's broken arm, only for his voice to harden into a deadly threat that broken bones are nothing compared to the shame he feels from their failure. Sir Yong ignores their crying pleas and orders his men to drag the 3 screaming victims to the punishment chamber, while he grins with pure evil. The mysterious Heichi sect kid makes his move with a brutal welcome, while back at the shack, our hero is shocked to learn that the old man runs a massive trade empire, proving he is a true giant. The girl bows and apologizes for her bad manners, but the old man just laughs it off and offers our hero his full support, which the system immediately recognizes as a top-level business connection. This guild is so powerful that it backs the imperial family and makes the Murim alliance nervous, a perfect chance he knows well, yet he politely says no. After taking on his first disciple and carving out his own path, the friendly grandpa act disappears instantly, replaced by a dangerous aura that fills the room as he demands to know who dares refuse the Golden Dragon Master. Our hero stands his ground and offers a deal that would make the Golden Dragon proud, but the trade master just laughs at his boldness. Our hero, unbothered by being just a nobody, boldly sets a 10-year deadline to prove what he can give to the mighty empire. He promises to build a group that can stand up to the world's best, including the 9 great sects, the Union Alliance, the 7 Gates, and the major families. The elder bursts out laughing at the thought of a nameless group of upstarts challenging the mighty giants in just a single decade. While the scene feels completely crazy, our hero stays calm, adds a big twist, and asks to meet the company's true heir so he can trade for the Golden Dragon's future, causing the heir to buzz with danger as the elder's giant fire dragon aura clashes with our boy's fierce tiger energy. The trade master nods in awe at his crazy bravery and says yes. He'll send his student to check the deal and warn that failure means disaster, but our hero promises everything will be fine, and once the deal is done, the elder snaps back to his cheerful self and shouts for his men to bring the silk. Out of nowhere, 10 top guards and a fancy carriage appeared, bowing together in perfect time for their master. Pointing to a huge pile of fancy cloth, the old man says this is his share of the fun. Our hero quietly realizes that every guard is a powerful master, and as the carriage rolls off, the merchant can't help but chuckle. Our boy's boldness brings back memories of a legendary old friend, so he orders his men to turn toward the Evil Path Alliance for a long-overdue drink with their leader, while back at the estate, our protagonist looks absolutely sharp in his brand-new Heichi sect robes. He brags about looking cool in his new outfit, and the system agrees that his fresh style has really boosted his charm. His new disciple sighs in relief, admitting it's her first day, while our lead, feeling the luxury of his silk shirt, flexes his muscles just as the story takes a sudden wild turn. By claiming he made legendary gear, he must choose a reward and picks the trait unlock to finally see his disciple's hidden power and secret stats. He quickly glances over the girl's profile. The system tells her she's finally broken through thanks to her own body, but she's still weak because she hasn't exercised at all. He spots 3 locked slots labeled diligence, adversity, and responsibility, but the system roars at him that his mana is too low, so he grins mischievously and declares that it's finally time to force a real training arc to wake her true power. The girl is buzzing with excitement, dreaming of learning flashy, god-tier martial arts to honor the hero who saved her, and she eagerly asks which legendary technique they'll master first. Our MC gives her a blank stare and orders her into a horse stance, leaving the poor girl sweating buckets, shaking like a leaf, and whining that she wanted to learn epic skills instead of just playing statue in a squat. He explains that this riding posture is the ultimate foundation to rebuild her weak stamina from the ground up, and when she asks for a timer, he casually says the goal is 30 minutes, which leaves her looking absolutely traumatized. She struggles to survive as her muscles scream and asks if a total beginner can actually master high-level combat, so our lead gives her a wholesome pep talk, explaining that her extreme body acts as an energy vacuum that will eventually fill up like a massive battery once her dantian awakens. He smirks knowing he hit the jackpot by finding a disciple with such a broken, overpowered build, but his internal flex is ruined by a shady vendor who runs up shouting about a letter from the White Sword sect, causing the kid to instantly their leader, Su Yen Wang, is notorious for using events as a reason to wipe out rival sects, but the vendor can't understand why they'd pick such a tiny group, accidentally insulting everyone in one breath. After catching a death stare, our hero smirks. Knowing this is the perfect moment to make his sect famous, while the girl nervously worries she's a burden since they are a duo, only for our MC to drop a massive bombshell by cheerfully announcing that she, as the top disciple, will enter the arena completely alone, which makes her nod firmly before her brain finally catches up and she screams. Our girl is totally exhausted from her daily nightmare and complains that even doing nothing feels like torture since she hasn't touched a real sword in an hour, only waving a blade like a toddler could while less than 2 weeks away from the big show, so when he grins cheekily and tells her not to worry, she storms to his room expecting to find him slacking but is instead stunned by what she sees inside. Our lead is furiously sewing her new combat uniform, only to accidentally stab his finger and groan that tailoring is a nightmare, while his system interface ruthlessly roasts him for taking bleed damage. He yells at the glowing box to shut up, expecting her to quit training, but he is determined to finish her new drip so she feels like a boss on the big day. Right on cue, the system pings to announce her responsibility trait is finally blooming, leaving him stunned by the growth, and then we fast forward to the day of the White Sword Sect's grand tournament. In the crowd, local disciples pour tea while wondering why their boss hosted a big event instead of just a quick sparring match with those unknowns. As the gang bosses brag about how they crushed their foes and how those embarrassing rumors are already spreading like wildfire, our duo steps onto the stage with total main character energy, while the girl signs her entry form with determined eyes, ready to turn this tournament into a brutal lesson on what happens when you cross them. Just as the goon sneers at the losers who picked the wrong side, our power couple saunters over to the desk with cool confidence, leaving the receptionist starstruck and wondering if they only hire models, while another staffer points out her messy uniform only to have her proudly defend her outfit as perfect for the rough vibe. Before the tournament kicks off with the white sect leader storming the stage to spread lies about unity and reveal the legendary clarity pill as the grand prize. As everyone loses their minds, the system instantly marks it as a top-tier wudang elixir that floods the crowd with massive energy, causing them to cheer blindly at his fake generosity while the leader secretly scoffs at the fools and plots to wipe out the Edian sect forever. At the Area 3 prelims, our girl is completely freaking out. She desperately asks if her simple horse stance will be enough to survive, but he rests a hand on her shoulder to remind her to trust his training, because she is far stronger than she realizes. She nods uncertainly as a terrifying power stirs inside her, and once she steps into the ring, her opponent, a cocky Blue Moon kid, mocks her for being so inexperienced. He laughed, joking that she looked like a total beginner. She admits it's only been a month, so when the arrogant guy thinks he's won for sure and demands she strike first, he's just full of himself. The fight starts, she closes the distance in a blur and knocks him into orbit, launching him straight out of the ring to leave the crowd stunned in silence, and with the match done in a heartbeat, our boy just smirks and says, "I told you to trust me." As she calls the winner, he beams with pride because 2 weeks of practice paid off. While most new recruits freeze up, he taught her to strike without fear, and she dropped the hammer perfectly. Now, it's time to find out just who our real rivals are. His eyes snap to Jing Wang, a deadly swordsman who is taking apart his rival as if it were nothing. The victim tries to give up, but Jing Wang keeps the brutal beating going. Not even the referee can stop him. Our boy sees him as a cruel, dirty fighter, while our girl backs up with a hype up for her easy win, thinking going all out was the right call, until the vibe suddenly snaps and a wave of pure, deadly killing intent crashes into her. It comes right from Jing Wang. Our boy warns them calmly that he is their final boss, but before they can even plan a move, the snake shows up, and the leader of the white sect slithers over to offer congratulations that are as fake as it gets. He brags about his rude disciples, but our boy reminds him they've learned their lesson, so the leader slaps our girl's shoulder in mockery, promises to crush her with Jing Wang, and even offers her a pitiful spot in his sect once she loses. Our boy smacks the man's hand away with a mocking laugh, then casually suggests the white sect disciples would make great poachers, which so angers the leader that he orders a hulking giant named Wang Bo to show them to their room. This Wang Bo is a walking powerhouse who lets our boy grab his arm to study his insane muscles before the giant, clearly flustered, practically teleports away to point out the room, leaving our girl confused by the sudden silence and our boy ignoring her completely. As he stares at his new target. You would think your brain might short-circuit from sheer surprise if Wang Bo became your new junior. Suddenly, we see the tragic past of Wang Paul, who was once picked up by the white sect leader just because he was huge, making him feel like a legend until a young kid named Jing Wang proved him wrong in a crushing defeat. Bleeding and shattered, Paul tried to pretend it was just a mistake, but the leader didn't believe him, coldly calling him trash and sending him away to spend the rest of his life cleaning up the sect's mess instead of fighting as a hero. Paul wakes up from his shock, yet the bad dream just won't let him rest. Jing Wang loomed over Paul like a final boss, forcing him to act as his personal sandbag. Paul, feeling low, accepts the beating after the big guy tries to skip his warm-up due to a fever. While back at the tournament, our MC teaches the FMC how to survive the semis by exposing the illusion sword as nothing more than flashy tricks that leave its user defenseless. When she suggests dodging, he nods but proposes a bolder plan to close the gap by taking a hit, promising victory if she trusts him, while a stunned shady vendor offers hollow congratulations only for our hero to predict she'll sweep the whole tournament and leave the salesman looking completely crazy. In the arena, the FMC stares down her top-tier rival from the White Sword sect, who sneers that the crowd wants her eliminated and declares her run is over. She gives him a cheeky grin and says her sect leader already saw her winning this easily. He laughs off her crazy ideas, but the game starts and the crowd goes wild instantly. She charges in, yet he moves with such perfect skill that he pushes her back with zero effort. His tricks look like a total mess to the eyes, so she tightens her guard and ignores every tempting lure. He revs up his machine, kicking up a blinding cloud of dust to blind her, but she stands firm, remembering that illusion users are terrible fighters up close. Now is the moment to hand over the payment. She intentionally takes the full force of the blow and lets herself get slammed to the ground. The salesman starts to panic and thinks it's all over until he sees our hero smirking like a proud dad. Just as the villain begins his victory speech, she springs back to her feet and vows to finish him right now. She crashes into him and knocks him out with a wild punch, causing the whole arena to explode with excitement. That shady salesman is going crazy because his bet finally paid off. Nearby, the thug from yesterday throws a fit, screaming that she cheated by faking her defeat and demanding a disqualification, but our hero just steps in with that main character energy, calling out the pathetic excuse while the thug keeps yapping that a girl winning is impossible. Our hero roasts him by asking why the prestigious white sect lets its dogs bark at a leader, and right then, the white sect leader slithers in like a snake ready to perform damage control with a fake apology for his rude student, which our hero just brushes off as the leader scolds his subordinate for being a sore loser and officially hands the win to our girl. The crowd goes wild as the little guy with only 1 month of practice takes down the mighty sect, and FMC rushes over to him, beaming with pure joy that it actually worked, while he accepts her praise and promises a huge feast on the sect's dime. Even Wang Paul can't help but smile at the wholesome scene, but the villain isn't done, so the white sect leader kills the mood with a cold, terrifying order for him to slip paralyzing poison into her dinner to nerf her for tomorrow's final match, with the goal of having Jin Wang finish the job by permanently crippling her in front of everyone, and shaken by the pure filth of the order, Huang Piao flatly rejects the sickening task. The master slaps the guide hard across the face and shouts that he's a worthless loser. The tyrant beats him up and laughs at how his underlings have already left him behind, but then our boy walks in with a dangerous smirk to see the chaos. Our boy sneered that the White Sword Master's training looked like a public execution. Our hero crashes the abusive session with a cocky playful vibe, calling the master's ways overkill. The villain snarls, telling him to stay in his lane, but our boy beams, declaring he's there on business while pointing at the mangled guide, politely asking to take Huang Piao and claiming the hidden sect suits the giant better, which makes the White Master's eyes narrow. He glares with deadly anger at his shaking underling. He shouts that Huang Piao has been secretly betraying them, while Huang trembles in terror as the boss schemes in the shadows. With a smile that looked like a predator's, he offered a dangerous bet. The tournament champion picks a loser to train, betting on the girl's wild talent while warning her it's being wasted, which sends her a cold chill, but our boy doesn't care since he doesn't know he's just a piece in a game and just smiles at the challenge. As the villain struts off, a terrified Huang Piao begs our hero to stop the madness, but our boy taps his shoulder to remind him why he was chosen and confirms the scout offer is real. Later, the shady merchant nervously questions the wager, while our boy just beams, noting that snagging a junior is a massive win for everyone and that leaving that man to suffer would be tragic. He tells our girl there's no pressure and softly asks if she can win. She admits it's basically a 50-50 shot, so our hero smiles with absolute faith. Touched by his unwavering belief, determination flares in her eyes and the system pings that her responsibility trait has finally awakened. Meanwhile, the white leader grills his ace Jin Kwang, demanding a total wipeout, but Jin Kwang smirks, promising a flawless victory while strutting past and ignoring the gravity of the match. Huang Piao quietly warns him to be careful. The arrogant bully just scoffs and vows not to choke like the others, so he steps up to crush their hidden sex streak as the referee signals both fighters forward, and while Jin Kwang drops into a deadly predatory stance and mocks her luck with a sneer, she fires back with steel and ignites her jewel, causing Jin Kwang to plan a dance of avoidance to dodge any heavy power clashes. He thinks she's just a fraud who has no real power inside her and only gets lucky by accident. That was a huge mistake, because he knew nothing about her hidden Yin body, so remembering his advice, she channeled her secret inner power and burst into a fierce attack. Jin Kwang just barely dodges, then strikes hard, knocking her backward. He laughs at her inexperience before speeding ahead to launch a terrifying counterattack. She feels the weight of his terrible nature as he promises to put this nightmare to an end right now. She won't bend her stubborn will, and that sends a huge system message right to our boy. When trouble hits, hard work and duty all come together to make you stronger. A legendary new power starts to appear, as the clear mirror-like water suddenly comes alive. In the middle of the fight, her ability to see things becomes so sharp it feels like magic. She matches his blurry every step, yet her lack of skill is too great, and a vicious fight knocks her weapon away, leaving her helpless as Jin Kwang fills with evil energy to launch his final attack that could destroy the world. Up in the stands, our boy tightens his muscles, ready to break the rules just for her. She holds her ground with steady faith just as a huge explosion tears the arena apart. The system jolted in shock as a rare, high-level skill known as the art of cold energy suddenly emerged. As the dust settles, a forbidden art that turns deadly energy into a weapon finally surfaces, leaving the girl trembling as she gazes at her palm, now pulsing with a terrifying sub-zero blue glow. She whispers about the cold creeping in as fear takes hold, then the MC rushes the stage but gets stopped by the referee who orders him to stop, yet our hero growls that the fight is already over. The official whirls around to see the unbelievable truth. While the girl barely holds on to her life, Jean Long lies still on the floor, completely unconscious. The announcer roars that the Ui Dong sect has won, and the girl cheers for her leader while the white sect boss in the VIP lounge grinds his teeth in rage, realizing his elite team was just humiliated by a rookie in one quick knockout. Our MC springs into the ring to praise her for keeping her promise, then the shady merchant starts clapping, which makes our hero's voice boom across the shocked crowd as he shouts that the Ui Dong sect has officially become the undisputed champions. With a proud smile, he invites everyone to their big opening party, which will happen in 1 month. Chaos explodes as the stunned crowd watches the legendary White Sword sect get crushed by this strange group, causing their leader to lose his mind and scream that they hid powerful ice tricks just to mock him while charging forward with hidden blades for a cowardly strike. Suddenly, Wang Bo steps in to block the way, shielding the group while begging his old master to keep some pride. The boss screams that it's treason and lunges forward to kill him right then. Our MC zooms into the fight, blocks a deadly blow, snaps the leader's wrist like dry wood, tells the villain that Wang Bo is now his student, and coldly steps in to finish the feud, causing the leader to pull back, glare with hate, get sent away in shame, and storm off to seek revenge while his guide is disowned. Left by himself, Wang Bo starts to doubt whether someone like him can really get a second chance. Our hero puts a hand on his shoulder, declaring that Wang Bo is enough, for he is already a warrior. Moved to tears by the praise, Wang Bo promises to give his all. The system marks him as the second disciple, and 2 weeks later, back at the new sect, Wang Bo is drenched in sweat, enduring the same grueling horse stance that the girl once survived, until he begs his senior sister to switch drills, only for her to smile in her new authority and remind him that even the MC's mantra warns against being so impatient and weak. Wang Bo chuckles and boasts about his 8 years in the game, while our hero quietly checks the man's stats in the background. His energy grows at a slow pace, but his body and skills are already legendary and incredibly strong. Our hero knows his flaws can be fixed by waking up his hidden strengths, and he is sure his unbreakable will turn him into a powerhouse. Suddenly, the merchant bursts in to shout about the huge success of our ceremony, but right as requests pour in, a terrible trap springs when the Murim Alliance launches a plagiarism audit on my skills, a move clearly set by my own bloodline. The toxic Beck family is the one behind this, and our hero knows that since they only strike when they're winning, the biased examiners will likely believe their lies over his own unique art. This mess would lock him away forever and leave his sect broke, so to beat the unfair audit, he must find a way to get those secret manuals to prove his work is truly his own. Suddenly, the girl screams that unexpected guests have arrived, and our hero sees 2 familiar faces, a bald man and a girl in orange, relaxing at the estate. These 2 ex-members of his elite heaven-piercing division feel perfectly at home in this dump. The green warrior teases him about calling his old captain, while the orange girl begs him not to touch anything or he'll die. But watching his ex-squad, our hero grins with a wicked idea forming in his mind. Their arrival is the miracle he needs to finally crush the plagiarism audit and turn the tables on everyone. While the master of the Golden Dragon headquarters calmly studies the latest news, his servant worries that the Murim Alliance will join the Beck clan and urges him to pull back, but the master just smirks and decides to make the chaos even worse by going all in. He holds a letter that acts as a secret backup plan if they use their alliance to hurt our boy. The master intends to clean up this mess by dragging the unorthodox evil path right into it. The air at the Beck estate grows heavy and tense as the head leader scoffs at their plan to investigate a sect that hasn't even opened yet, while the cold-blooded patriarch calmly sips his tea and declares that the successor is useless, the daughter is reckless, but her gender makes no difference to the family rules. The leader is tormented by rage, screaming why the patriarch ever let our brilliant boy go, and he can't stop thinking about the kid's huge talent, sharp mind, and strong heart. The old man calmly puts down his tea, insisting that this trial is just a reminder that the boy's power belongs to the Beck family and that hardship is what makes men strong. He gives his okay to the plan that will keep his son trapped under the family's control. The leader sneers with dark satisfaction, poised to seize the prize, then the scene shifts to the grand opening of the Ui Cheon sect, where the Murim Alliance's vice-advisor arrives outside the gates to watch its fall, boasting that no school can survive a formal audit for stolen martial arts, while the leader agrees, driven mad by his desperate need to reclaim his lost prodigy at any price. In his heart, he laments that the boy could have been the greatest sword master of this age. He shouts loudly for his return, and suddenly a massive gong boom shakes the whole courtyard. The gates flew open as our hero dropped down like a god, slamming his giant sect flag into the ground and sending a huge shockwave crashing through the crowd. His system beeps, warning him that his heart is pounding too fast from all the action. With the window shut and a dazzling grin, he welcomes the huge crowd, introduces himself as the sect leader, then suddenly confesses that his new group stole the Beck family's secret arts, shocking everyone in the room. Pure chaos erupts as the merchant almost faints from shock, while the trade master grins broadly from the VIP booth. The advisor thinks the boy is surrendering in fear while enjoying the show, but the leader sees the trick and watches him invite the exam team up. Both the advisor and the leader climb up to the main stage. When the leader spots the famous Beck sword, he asks what game is being played, but our hero insists on taking the verification exam right here in the open so everyone can watch. The officials stammer in shock, insisting that these tests are a secret that no one else is allowed to know. With the crowd pressing in, the advisor acts fairly to save the alliance's name and gives in to see the boy's perfect light art. The advisor quickly spots the connection when explaining the rules of heaven and earth. He shouts that it is a plain robbery of the baking arts. The leader smugly agrees as the trap snaps shut, but our boy just flips the script with a grin, dropping a bombshell. He cheerfully admits his fighting style stole secrets from famous clans, even claiming 23 moves were lifted from top sects, which leaves the advisor screaming in disbelief and demanding proof since those sects have no representatives there to validate such a wild claim. Suddenly, two hands grab the air as our hero's bald friend in jade armor steps out with a smirk, telling the stunned advisor and his orange-clothed Wudang ally that he was just passing by on a mission and decided to drop in for a visit. Then he stands up and loudly declares that our boy's talents are the perfect match for the legendary arts of the Namgung family. Just as the clock strikes, the Wudang girl speaks up to fully support him, sealing the deal instantly as the entire Wudang sect agrees to their plan. Then the final blow lands as she feigns a smile to ask if the Bake clan's core foundation is just a cheap copy stolen from the world's greatest powers, causing the leader to scream that this whole mess is a farce while our bald friend scoffs in disgust, mocking the advisor and questioning if the Great Alliance is brave enough to admit their own standards are trash and their rules are broken, before the realization finally hits. Trapped and defeated in court, the shamed leader furiously tosses the documents onto the ground, his eyes blazing as he screams our hero's name in anger, knowing his flawless plan has finally crashed and burned. The vice advisor is sweating so hard he can barely speak, stammering as he tries to figure out how our kid managed to hand over the family's top secret scrolls to every big power in the land, and the fear is very real. With a cold, hungry grin, our hero stares them down, knowing he's made his move and now it's their turn to react as he counts the seconds, realizing that if the Bake family admits to stealing the work now, their entire future is gone and they'll be dragged into lawsuits with 23 other clans, wondering if his own ruthless family will risk everything or double down on this mess while the furious uncle, who is actually his own brother's father, growls, pulls out his shining curved blade, and charges, only for our hero to block the attack like it's nothing and tell his worried students to stay calm. This is personal, and his uncle pushes back, shouting that the sacred Bake bloodline flows through his veins and that he is destined to lead them, before roaring and asking if our boy is still shackled by his past grudges. Our hero shoves his uncle back with unstoppable force, shouting that the uncle is the one stuck in time, and asks if he still hates the family for failing to avenge his mother, while the uncle hesitates, admits he understands why they see themselves as failures, but warns with a heavy heart that he will kill anyone who threatens the clan's survival. He attacks once more, but gets knocked right back onto his knees with no effort at all. As he looks down at the broken man below, our hero admits he never meant to reject his family, explaining that while the hurt remains, the wild anger has finally cooled, and he wonders why the other won't come back. Our boy answers with a steady voice, for a leader must stand alone, far away from the weak child who disappeared 15 years ago. The uncle sneered, how long can a tiny group hold out against the big family without giving in? But our hero stood firm, ready to face whatever challenge came his way, just like today. The uncle freezes a memory of a young Yun, who once deflected his blade long ago. He snaps back to reality and stays quiet. The boy drops to one knee to declare their arts are pure as the Aeon Master, then whispers to his uncle that he just needs a little more time to reveal the full truth. When he heard that firm decision, the uncle's face lit up with a smile, stood up to face the advisor, and swore with all his heart and the sharp edge of his sword that the Aeon sect was truly innocent of every accusation. As he walks away, the camera turns to a hooded figure hiding in the shadows who grins with pride, admits she was ready to jump in but saw our hero handle everything perfectly, and then quietly silences her partner. The reveal was mind-blowing because it turned out to be none other than the monstrous king of the unorthodox path. He realizes the Aeon estate acts like a huge holy trap that draws in all the cursed things in the world. Curious about our hero, the Dark Lord disappears back into the deep void. With her bright gold hair and green eyes, the legendary heir to the Golden Dragon catches the trademaster's curious gaze, and he officially names our boy her very first business partner. 3 days later, our girl is falling apart. Even with all the fanfare and ceremony, not one recruit has shown up. She falls to the ground in sadness as Gongpil cleans up the area. Our boy coldly tells her to hold it together while pretending he's calm, even though the system alarms scream that his heart is racing and his grip on the brush is so tight it snaps. The upcoming graduation competition has turned into a mess, with the students screaming about unfair treatment while their advisor sighs at how the system pits noble Moyun against unaffiliated murim fighters, allowing the elite Moyun to crush murim for 3 years straight despite promises of equality, all while the Moyun master supports the boycott just to save face. Out of nowhere, a messenger bursts in with a harsh order from the third military advisor to throw all the rebellious Moyun disciples straight into the secret Bakian sect. Though the staff is shocked by the boss's ruthless plan to go ahead as scheduled, a disciple wakes up in the mountains haunted by his losses and finds Sion calmly reading nearby. Sion jokes that his watch duty hasn't even started yet. The restless fighter apologizes for leading the boycott that exiled them, fearing they are being sent to a punishment sect, but Sion just smiles, stands up, and suggests that if the new sect is weak, they should simply force their leader to submit before a shadow suddenly plunges into the camp and they roar, "Who's there?" With a hungry grin, our boy steps into the light as the Bakian sect leader and cheerfully declares that their entrance exam begins right now, with a rule that is simple. Even if just one person manages to touch the Bakian sect's gate, they get to pass. They instantly form a battle line, and our boy charges straight at the nearest enemy, slamming his knee into the dirt with one fierce blow. He casually finishes his thought, they only pass if they can actually manage to escape him alive, and the scene shifts to Hubei province, where 3 elite Moyun disciples are trekking to the camp. A massive bald man mocks the mysterious Bakian sect, while his leader with a ponytail dismisses the noise and vows to win anyway. Trailing them is a girl with a huge secret. She's the estranged younger sister of a genius boy who once abandoned their toxic family, and now she refuses to stop until she forces him to explain himself. Meanwhile, in the dark forest, our hero treats the murim recruits like punching bags, casually parrying Sion's spear thrust and complimenting his form before laughing off Sion's fear of the surprise test, only to vanish into a cold smile when asked what happens if they fail, warning that failure means being tied up and left to rot in a warehouse, making the disciples realize this isn't a game. As the moon shines high, the terrifying real training of the Bakian sect begins, where Song, a nightmare-plagued disciple banished from the tournament without landing a single blow, shivers with fear and hope, asking if knocking out the leader will finally let him pass. As 3 others rush in to join the fight, our hero grins wickedly at the 5 enemies closing in, taunting them to come closer, only to watch minutes later as the forest lies in ruins with the 5 students gasping for air, spitting blood and utterly exhausted, while he stands calm and untouched until Song makes one last desperate dash forward. Our hero slips away with ease and drives a hard knee right into the boy's stomach. He cruelly laughed at Song's doubt, sneering that the rookie must fear hurting a master with such a weak attack. Twisting in a flash, our hero slices through huge tree trunks before stopping dead, his icy blade hanging just a hair's breadth from Sion's throat. He silently admired Sion's quick reactions while loudly mocking the others for their stiff moves and wasted chances. Feeling they need a tougher wake-up call, our hero flips his hair back and calls them total failures, crushing their shaky confidence and proving the rumors about their loser energy are 100% true. With their minds locked in battle, the trio of Sion, Song, and fierce Dan Ryan reach the breaking point before snapping into perfect sync as Sion shouts out a plan. Song tanks, Sion spots the opening, and Dan Ryan lands the final blow. They all attack together, but our hero breaks their teamwork with a scary kind of grace. He dances in between their attacks, lunges forward, and breaks a disciple's defense with a powerful punch. He shouts that arrogance is a death sentence, sneering at their foolish hope while expecting him to hold back, but instead he throws the student hard against a strong oak tree until the boy goes limp and loses consciousness. Our boy lets out a sigh and shakes his head, sad that his hopes died on this average team, but as the trial ends, the air suddenly turns freezing cold and heavy. Suddenly, a wicked mix of red and black energy bursts from the boy, who was thought to be knocked out. Our hero dodges a blinding sneak attack with a gleam of pure hype in his eyes, instantly spotting the dark energy of forbidden demonic arts. Our hero just grins like a madman, daring the kid to unleash his deadly power and burn out his life force, and as the student dashes forward like a red lightning bolt, the system flashes that our hero's stats have shot all the way to the moon. As our hero stares at the glowing teen, he grins wickedly and decides right then that this kid is his to claim. The crimson disciple wakes up shivering in a cold sweat, his body completely broken from the wild events of last night. His bald teammate, looking straight out of an Avatar episode, checks in as he dizzily nods along while the red aura kid inside him spirals into a total mental meltdown. Horror hits him as he realizes he just broke the blood sword sect's forbidden rules, leaving him frozen in fear before the Aiden sect leader who now knows his secret. Instead of joining the tournament, he expects to die, frantically wondering why his friends haven't come to save him, but then the morning bell rings and shatters his panic. Our hero looks out at the battered recruits and tells them only 5 of the 15 made it through, leaving the warrior in red so surprised he can hardly move. The exam was so brutal that most fell away, leaving only a ragtag group of survivors, including a bald guy who looks like an avatar, a fierce whip wielder, an arrogant ponytail-wearing type, and one other lucky survivor to form the final squad. Our hero plans a brutal routine of fighting top disciples and studying tactics, while our girl steps up with her gear to meet the mountain-sized Wong Bo, who immediately cuts the small talk short and tells them to save their breath for the upcoming beating. Wong Bo urges them to skip the warm greetings and instead prepare themselves for the pain that is coming. With a smug grin, she challenges all 5 recruits to a handicap fight against her and Wong Bo at the same time. The new soldiers burned with pure anger. Wong Bo smiles with pride as his small disciple acts tough and gets the all-clear to fight while his teammate with the ponytail charges forward and tells his friends to stay back. He vows to end this fight alone, rushing at her with the belief that he will win without trouble. She dodges the attack so smoothly that her mirror-like stillness turns into a calm blue glow. She gives a polite warning before a palm strike blasts the spearman backward, shocking the recruits into joining the fight while the bald warrior admires her stance. She blushes and says thank you, but the bald man's energy surges as he warns that his next blow won't be easy, so before he can strike, Wong Bo steps in to stop him. Wong Bo clamps onto the man's wrist with a grip like iron. They discover the members are monsters, so the whip girl screams for her team to go all out as a brutal fight erupts, but the battle is one-sided while the guy in red aura desperately tries to push Wong Bo back, only for the giant to grab the whip, yank the girl forward, and drag her right into her allies' gunfire. In the blink of an eye, the whole squad is eating dirt while the whip girl is the only one still on her feet. She is completely crushed because her top team got totally beaten by just 2 random sidekicks. After ending the massacre, our kid casually flexes about his disciple mastering skills in just 1 month, leaving the recruits speechless and the red aura guy horrified by her overwhelming power, so he uses their defeat to teach the group that to break their 3-year losing streak, they must learn to trust each other completely and fight together. Once the motivational speech was done and the training officially ended, he sent the rest of the recruits away but called the guy with the red aura to stay behind. The moment they are alone, a system window flashes and seals out all sound, while the guy in red offers a shy compliment that makes our hero's friendly teacher smile vanish instantly. His presence suddenly grows heavy and scary as he forces the terrified kid to explain the truth, revealing that the boy is actually the evil leader of the Blood Sword sect hiding as a weak student, and he warns that unless the boy gives a shocking reason for this disguise, he will face terrible punishment. Our boy needs an answer, and Song is shaking with fear as he wonders if he should run for his life after seeing the Blood Sword sect leader hiding here. Our hero snaps that thought away with an instant, paralyzing wave that forces total surrender, making any chance of escape a hopeless fantasy. As he forces a confession, we dive into Song's painful past, where a flashback takes us back 5 years to a cruel boss who is screaming at a young Song. The twisted master sneers with disgust at Song for showing mercy, scolding him for breaking bones instead of beheading enemies and demanding he join the Murim alliance as a spy with one terrible order: kill his own junior brother in battle. As Song freezes in fear, the tyrant promises a bloody end for thousands and vows to kill everyone she loves if she doesn't run, leaving her with no choice but to face death. With no way out, Song takes on this hopeless suicide mission. He hopes this prayer gives him just enough time to shatter his master's chains. Back in the moment, our lead smiles as Song picks a direct attack, cheering on the boy's courage to forge his own way forward. He insists Song unleash his full power, claiming that strict rules are just a cage for his gift and promising that awakening his true deadly strength will make the tournament nothing but a joke, so as Song feels the deadly change in the exam, he lunges forward with every last bit of energy he has. Our MC effortlessly blocks the attack, realizing that Song has become far more dangerous now that he is using forbidden techniques. Then he unleashes a mind-blowing attack that shatters Song's soul, revealing how deeply his spirit fights against such evil ways. While Song shouts that he isn't lying, our hero just points out the shaking in the sword that gives him away. As our hero claims a true warrior's sword never falters and swings a brutal punch at the kid to demand the truth behind his steel, Song finally breaks and admits his father wasn't a legendary master but a man of honor who stood alone while others fled, only to have history mock his sacrifice as the death of a dog. To prove his father was a hero, Song chased power so hard he lost his soul and became a tool for the blood sword sect, until finally he sobbed and gave up his life, ready to be killed or torn apart by the Alliance's wolves. He begged everyone to save the innocent boy our hero watched, realizing that this so-called monster was just a kid trying to protect his father's pride. He steps in and gives Song a sharp tap right on the forehead. As Song stumbles backward, our hero yells for him to get up, admitting that the kid looks just like him when he was young. He tells the tale of how he once uprooted his own poisonous past and rebuilt his entire self just to survive the deadly Murim Hall. Since the Alliance won't fall apart because of one bad kid, our leader throws him a lifeline and promises to wipe out all traces of Song's wicked ways. Inside, our hero is buzzing with excitement as a top-tier VIP arrives, offering him the perfect chance to win big, though he warns that the next 2 weeks will be a nightmare as he tears apart Song's entire plan. When asked if he trusts the plan, Song only cares about getting stronger. Our hero promises him a promise that can't be broken. The scene shifts to the Murim Alliance headquarters, where officials are gushing over the new generation of heroes and their impossible records, while the Sword Saint, the legendary peak of the Orthodox world who sits upon his throne as one of the 10 heavens, calmly cuts through the hype to deliver a revelation that shatters everything. He reveals the wicked leader's high-stakes gamble on the underdog Murim Hall, where a villainous win earns a favor but a loss forces a year-long freeze, so the Sword Saint summons a terrifying 10-year-old genius named Chang Rui to turn the tournament into a bloodbath, while the Aiden sect's daily sparring matches are breaking everyone. Our leading lady flops down and whines to the mountain-sized man that this daily grind is pure torture because she's running on empty. Right then, our MC saunters over with a smirk, clowning them for being so gassed, then dangles a legendary carrot by promising that once this hellish camp ends, they can travel to the Murim Alliance for a grand tournament to meet the god-tier blacksmith who made his blade, on the condition that they win 8 out of 15 matches against the recruits to get custom weapons funded by him. The promise of that special, high-quality loot immediately brings the 2 exhausted disciples back to life. Out on the field, the recruits felt that sudden surge of fire in their bellies. The whip girl frantically begs to know how our girl dodged her brand new move so easily, but our girl just flexes and laughs, saying yesterday's tricks were like playing with a baby compared to what she did today. Not far away, a huge tank is happily chasing the guy with the ponytail, openly admitting that its sudden burst of energy comes from pure greed. Ponytail just huffs, convinced the boss is playing favorites, while the missing recruit is actually hog-tied to a giant rock screaming about being benched, so our hero ignores the noise, slams a glowing seal onto the stone, sends a jagged bolt of lightning through the tied-up brat, and casually explains it's a high-level prison bind meant for transporting demon lords without wrecking their core. Our hero drops a mysterious hint that the only way out is to break free without moving a muscle, while a jealous recruit watches and asks if this is some top-secret training. Our hero scoffs at any idea of unfairness and shouts for everyone to get back to work, while one new recruit screams that they're about to show off their crazy progress, only for our hero to brush it off and tell the stuck genius to watch his friends fight and think about why he's just glued to the ground. Deep in the dirt, Ponytail pulls off a perfect trick, sniffing out a tiny gap to slip past the giant's long spear. Still pinned to the stone with a red glow on the ground, he wonders just when the spear wielder figured out such a smart new way to fight. Our main pair is growing together in the heat of battle, fixing each other's mistakes perfectly. Our hero leans in, questioning if seeing his rivals grow makes him fear being left behind, only for a blaring alert to announce that Ponytail has reached the legendary state of weapon unity, sending Red Aura into a panic that he'll be forgotten, but the kid begs for release while our hero shuts him down, pointing out that the spearman is gaining true wisdom and building his own legacy while this brat remains a cheap copy of his twisted master. The kid clenches his jaw and asks what he should do, so our hero explains that by sealing his body, he forces the kid to rebuild his internal system, reveals that most warriors only use 70% of their energy, and tells him to find the answers in the dark zones to flush out his poison pathways and blast his energy into new territory, which makes him fight the stone and surge his entire core at once to shatter the locked walls. The system screams red alerts as the kid's toxic energy backflows and triggers a lethal mutation. Our MC screams for everyone to stay calm, because if that chaotic storm swallows him whole, his path as a warrior ends right here, and as the squad rushes in to help him choking on the black mist, he blocks them, declaring this a solo trial he must win alone. With a scream of pain, the kid rushes to clear his veins of the dark stuff inside his soul. He finally unleashes a god-tier energy loop that shatters the mystic shackles with a deafening boom. Gasping but victorious, the kid collapses, and our hero pats him on the back, cheering that he scrubbed away the toxic blood sword art to become a fresh start. With a weak but happy grin, the kid says that since he's at level 0, the boss is legally required to train him for real, so our hero happily agrees to help him write a brand new legend on that empty slate just as the whole squad rushes over to welcome their teammate back with pure wholesome energy. The sunny training camp turns into a creepy forest where a drained corpse hangs from a twisted tree, and our hero, a bald veteran, and a quiet girl realize that a killer has vanished their victim's blood through one hole and is now hunting anyone, anywhere. He insists that this chaotic way of hunting is too dumb to be the work of a planned evil group. Trembling with fear, she thinks it must be either a psycho or a monster. They promise to bring justice and hunt the beast themselves. The bald man grins and wisely suggests setting up a safety net, so that if they vanish for a month, someone can summon the heavenly gatekeeper. Without noticing the destruction around him, our boy suddenly gets cold and realizes that total chaos is about to ruin everything. After 2 weeks of tiring battles, our hero gathers his exhausted crew, his skills now at their peak while a rookie's dark power still lingers. Having won 8 times in a row and promised custom gear made by the blacksmith who forged his own blade, he feels a shadow of doubt creep in as the story moves into its second, far more dangerous phase where survival is no longer guaranteed. Later, a dark letter from a murim military advisor warns that the shady merchant has noticed a surge in disappearances, with victims found bloodless and their necks slashed, proving a monster is loose now that the Tiger Brigade has arrived. This is why his old team crashed his special ritual. Trusting in their power, he knows they will crush the threat, but as 2 new recruits burst through the training hall doors and shatter the old memories, his boy barely dodges while the heavy doors slam down on the salesman and the merchant groans in pain, leaving only our hero laughing. People are shouting about the Chi reading and Mujong school secrets while a genius teaches there. Seeing they'd smashed the door, the rookies begged for their lives. Grinning, he drops a bombshell by revealing that after 4 years of facing a genius, he never lost a fight, and when the recruits demand proof, he drops his legendary old title, White Sword Dragon, leaving them speechless as they realize their teacher is a living legend. He gives an absolute promise to stay loyal and tells them to rest right away. He warns that burnout can kill faster than a blade, so head to the peaceful Dongting Lake to rest, or you'll be crawling home in shame if you cause trouble. The fancy falling flower house turned them away, calling them nobody. Only the toughest fighters are allowed on the top floor, but Gavel, the trade master's student, spots his target and buys their meal to learn the truth behind the mysterious billionaire. She's determined to show she can stand on her own 2 feet. Gavel is angry that our boy never even mentioned her name. The black-haired girl casually pours a free drink for the blonde, treating liquor like friendship, while the ponytail warrior apologizes for his suspicion only to be drowned out by Gavel's dramatic tears that claim he forgot her, but as the recruits desperately try to calm her by defending their leader's busy schedule and high-stakes tournament wager, her crying stops instantly because she realizes they are clueless about the deadly political game where the Murim Alliance and the wicked evil path only truce to settle a bet. While the Murim leaders bet everything on their favorites and the unorthodox alliance backs the underdogs, a shocking truth emerges: the high-ups are actually hoping the recruits fail, treating them like disposable pawns in a rigged game. To raise the danger level, his old elite squad disappeared right there a month ago, making it deeply personal, and they left a secret note telling anyone who found it to rush the sect leader, so without hesitation, our hero flies off to Beishang to hunt the demon before it ruins the whole province, leaving the terrified merchant to ask about the trainees and him to grin and say he has no duty to babysit them while the local boss will surely save the kids when things get bad. With a sigh, she reminds them she's still at the table while they busy themselves playing heroes, and as our boy lands on the edge of the Beishang demonic terrain, nostalgia washes over him as he recalls the lessons he once taught his squad, realizing that retreat is the only play left. Knowing his team is almost out of energy in this suffocating hell, he dives straight into the danger zone to finish the job, right as a huge demon growls in frustration from the shadows. 2 stubborn rats escaped its fury and disappeared, but now it's demanding they reveal themselves. While a girl in orange and a bald warrior argue like a bad couple after failing to kill a waking beast, a glowing hero arrives with a smirk to save them, earning a grateful shout and a grumble about his bad timing. Our hero just chuckles at the chaotic scene, noting he never imagined he'd still be playing babysitter to his supposedly elite subordinates. But as he sizes up the demon, his intuition screams. His sharp eyes catch a glaring inconsistency. His elites should have turned this thing into a rug. The demon laughs, calling him a dim-witted brat before erupting in a violet aura. The monster's flesh warps, transforming into a young woman who notes it has been a very long time. Our hero's confidence shatters instantly. He stares paralyzed, whispering a single